John Cena? I mean, for a whole generation of wrestling fans, that name, it wasn't just some wrestler, right? It was basically an entire era. He was a global icon who went way beyond the ring, a guy whose catchphrases just became a part of our culture.
But here's the crazy part. When it all ended, when his career finally wrapped up, the reaction, it wasn't all cheers and confetti. Nope, it was anger. It was confusion, a huge backlash against the very company he put on his back. So what on earth happened? Why did the end of John Cena's story spark so much outrage? Okay, let's get into it.
To really understand the end, we've got to rewind way back to the beginning. Let's look at part 1, the rise of the rap star.
All right, so John Cena, he wasn't born a wrestling superstar. Not at all. He was actually a college football player, a bodybuilder. Then in 1999, he decides, you know what, I'm going to chase this crazy dream of being a pro wrestler. By 2000, he signed with WWE. And in 2002, he makes this massive debut, answering a challenge from Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, kicking off what we now call the ruthless aggression era.
But after that huge, explosive debut, poof, the momentum just vanished. His character was, well, kind of generic. A squeaky clean good guy that just wasn't clicking with the crowd. Pretty soon the cheers died down, and so did his time on TV.
And then the whole game changed, and it was completely by accident. Get this, Stephanie McMahon just happens to overhear Cena rapping backstage, just messing around with his friends. And she's like, wait a minute, that's a character. And just like that, the Doctor of Thugonomics was born. A trash-talking rapper who became an absolute sensation overnight. He was, without a doubt, the most popular character with the fans. And that new persona? It shot him straight to the top. At WrestleMania 20, he takes on the Big Show and wins his very first title, the United States Championship. And this wasn't just another win, it was a statement. His first taste of gold, and it proved he was a legit rising star. And that success, well, it catapulted him into the next and probably the most defining phase of his entire career. Let's talk about part 2, the beloved children's champion. So you gotta understand what was happening in WWE at this point. It was kind of a crisis. Their biggest names, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, they were gone. The company was desperate for a new face, a new leader. And it really boiled down to 2 guys from the new generation. You had the powerhouse, Batista, and you had the super charismatic John Cena. Now, Batista also became a world champ, don't get me wrong, but it was Cena who really grabbed everyone's attention. At WrestleMania 21, he beats JBL for the WWE Championship. And that was it. That was the moment. The torch was officially passed. The Cena era, it had begun. And with that top spot came a total transformation. The edgy rapper, gone. In his place, we got Super Cena. He became this all-American hero, right? He was all about supporting the troops, selling an insane amount of merchandise, and most importantly, connecting with younger fans. This was the guy they built to be the global face of the company. And his impacts, wow, it went so far beyond just wrestling. Through all his work with charities like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, by 2006, John Cena was the world's #1 biggest donor. So he wasn't just playing a hero on TV, he was actually being one in real life. But, being that hero, it came at a cost. And this leads us right into the biggest conflict of his entire career. Part 3, the Top Champions Challenges. And man, this just perfectly shows the huge split he caused. His audience became completely polarized. For kids, he was a real-life superhero who never gave up and always won. But for a lot of the older, longtime fans, he just got stale, predictable, even boring. The arenas literally became these battlegrounds of dueling chants. You'd hear, "Let's go Cena" from the kids, immediately followed by "Cena sucks" from the adults. So those older fans were begging for a change. They wanted him to turn bad, a heel, as they say in wrestling, just to shake things up. But the answer from the boss, Vince McMahon, was always a hard no. He flat out refused. And it all came down to 2 things: that incredible connection Cena had with kids and the absolute mountain of cash they were making from his merchandise. And this whole love/hate dynamic was the perfect backdrop for some of his biggest rivalries ever. First up, you have the returning Hollywood megastar, The Rock. They billed it as once in a lifetime, and it was this epic clash of generations. It brought in so much mainstream attention and really put Cena's status as the guy to the ultimate test.
And then there was CM Punk. This rivalry was legendary. Punk basically became the voice of the voiceless, saying everything out loud that the frustrated fans were thinking about Cena. This whole feud just blurred the lines between story and reality and turned up the volume on the anti-Cena criticism like nothing before.
And finally, his battles with the beast, Brock Lesnar. After Lesnar made his dominant return, WWE needed to make him look like an absolute monster. So what did they do? They had him completely crush their top hero, John Cena, in a super one-sided match. It was a jaw-dropping moment that really signaled a major shift in the company.
But even with all that division and those big losses, Cena's career moved into its final chapter. And honestly, it might be his most respected one. Part 4, his legacy. Never give up. So in his later years, it felt like Cena finally heard all that criticism. There was a real shift in what he was doing. He started using his star power to work with and lift up the next generation of wrestlers, helping them look amazing in the ring. This totally went against that old complaint that he just buried other talent to stay on top. And make no mistake, he still hit the very top of the mountain. In 2017, he beat AJ Styles to win his 16th World Championship. That tied the legendary Ric Flair's all-time record. I mean, that's a historic achievement that even his biggest haters had to give him props for.
And that brings us to this hypothetical endgame for his career, one that a lot of people have talked about. In this version of the story, Cena announces this year-long farewell tour for 2025. It's supposed to be this huge tribute where he finally becomes a bad guy, breaks the record with a 17th world title, and gets to face all his old rivals one last time. It sounds like the perfect ending, right? Well, not quite. So in this hypothetical story, his very last match is against this unstoppable champion, Gunther. And then something happens that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. John Cena, the guy whose whole brand is never give up, loses by submission. He taps out. This imagined ending, this shocking tap-out loss, is what that story says would have caused all that fan anger we mentioned at the start. It would have felt like a complete betrayal of his entire character. But here's the thing. Whether we're talking about a real loss or that fictional ending, maybe focusing on one match kind of misses the bigger picture. When you really zoom out, Cena's true legacy isn't about a single win or loss. It's about the millions of people he inspired. He was, as someone once put it so well, the hero who taught entire generations that giving up is not an option. He really became a symbol of respect, of dedication, of chasing your dreams. So maybe the real question isn't about how a wrestler's career ends, but about how many people he taught how to win in life. And that's a legacy that can never, ever be beaten.